Why is this called a podcast? I thought podcasts were just audio. Welcome to the Sunday Morning Knits podcast. My name is Laura, and this is my knitting podcast where I share everything about knitting, all the things that I've finished, all the things that I'm working on, all the things that I love. So welcome if you're new here, and if you are a returning viewer, thank you so much. I'm so happy to be sharing this episode with you today. So, if you can hear noises in the background, that's my cat. I'm so sorry about that. Anyway, so today I'm going to start off with what I'm wearing because this is actually one of my finished objects. Today I'm wearing my Serein Sweater by Caidree, which, if you've been watching my other episodes, has been a whip for a while. I actually started this sweater back in July. I started it just before I went to the Netherlands because I wanted a project to bring with me on my travels, and I finished it today. I'm very, very, very happy. This is the first time I have knit a sweater in a super long time. I think my last sweater was 2 or 3 years ago, which is wild. I tend to like knitting accessories a little bit more, so I like to knit socks and things like that. I did knit a vest last year, or the year before. Oh, I knitted a vest 2 years ago. I have not knit a sweater in 2 years, or any sort of like garment in 2 years. That's crazy. Anyway, I'm super happy with this sweater. I love the way that it came out. I did make a couple modifications. So I made the sleeves 3/4 length, so I didn't knit them all the way. And the reason I did that actually is because I was playing a little bit of yarn chicken, but I'm super happy with how it turned out. So I decided to knit the sleeves first. I knit them to the length that I like. So I ended up doing, I don't want to give away too much information because this is a paid pattern. I did 16 decreases of the number of decreases they suggest. And then I knit the body, and I just knit the body until I ran out of yarn. I have no idea how long the body is in the end. I finished it this afternoon. I actually finished it while watching those twins who knit their new podcast, which was absolutely lovely. Oh my gosh, so go check it out. I highly, highly recommend. They are the absolute sweetest. So I finished this while watching their podcast, and I'm just very happy with it. I love the way it fits. I've never done a raglan before, so that was a lot of fun. I got to learn a new technique, which was very cool. In terms of the yarn, I used the non-superwash DK in the color Misty Morning by the Yarn Addict Co. I pre-ordered this yarn in 2022, around this time actually, I think, or maybe November 2022. I got the yarn in May of this year, and I started knitting in July. So I absolutely love it. I wanted to make sure when I knit this that I used all of the yarn that I had because it was the special colorway, it was the pre-order. Oh, hi kitty. Maeve says hello. Hi. I really love this yarn because it's actually the color of her eyes. Like, her eyes are exactly this color, which makes me very, very, very happy. I got her in August, so it wasn't like this was planned or anything like that. But as soon as I noticed that, it made me super happy. So now this sweater always makes me think of my cat, which is so sweet. Yeah. Okay, where was I? Oh yeah, Yarn Addict Co. I absolutely love the Yarn Addict Co. I think her colorways are beautiful, and more importantly, her variegation is incredible. I did not alternate skeins for this project. There were a couple of spots where I didn't even fade the skeins. Like on the sleeve somewhere here on this one, I just started knitting with the other skein. I didn't bother to fade them. Same with the body, actually. I think I faded this, I don't know if you can see this, probably not. The portion from basically my belly button down. I faded that, but I don't think I faded the last skein. The only thing I'll say that kind of accidentally happened, and I'm very happy with how that happened, was I ended up having one skein that was kind of lighter than the rest. The variegation was still even, but it turned out a little bit lighter than the rest, and I just happened to use that one for the yoke of my sweater. So the yoke of my sweater actually fades into like kind of a darker variegation for the rest of the sweater. I love how that turned out. I think it was great. I think it's perfect. I'm very, very, very happy with this sweater. I'm so glad that I finished it this week so that I can wear it going home, because I go home this week, which is very exciting. It is still a little bit too warm in SoCal to wear a wool sweater, so I'm very excited to wear this when I get home. I have not blacked this yet, but I will still put in footage of this sweater up close so that you can see it in a little bit more detail. But I am extremely, extremely happy with this sweater, so yeah. I can't wait to wear it more. Okay, my next finished object is hilariously one that I completely forgot to mention on my last podcast that I was working on. It is a weekend hat by Petite Knit. It was about halfway done in my last podcast, and I had cast it on immediately after the previous podcast and just completely forgot to mention it. Whoops. So I'm gonna be a good podcaster today and talk about it. This is the weekend hat by Petite Knit. I knit the second biggest size. Oh, I forgot to mention, for this one I knitted 2X. And it is like perfectly oversized. I think there's about 10 or 12 inches of positive ease. It's perfect. I used 6 skeins of DK weight yarn. But yeah, for the weekend hat, I used the Primrose colorway in worsted by Camillia Fibre Co. Camillia Fibre Co. is rapidly becoming my favorite, or one of my favorite yarn companies. I adore their colorways. I think they're just the most stunning things ever. So I had ordered 2 skeins of the Primrose colorway that I think I showed in the last episode, and decided to make a weekend hat out of it. Because I'm going home and I live in SoCal, I have no cold weather items to wear, and decided to make one. Maeve, don't eat my knitting needles. So the weekend hat is basically just a really long tube of rib, knit 1 purl 1 rib. I totally knew that when I started this hat, and I also knew that I hate knit 1 purl 1 rib. If I'm going to do rib, I definitely prefer doing the knit 1 through the back loop, the twisted rib, because my knit 1 purl 1 rib never turns out well, never turns out even. But for some reason, I really love the way this hat looked, so I decided to do an entire tube of knit 1 purl 1 rib. In the end, it actually wasn't nearly as painful as I was expecting it to be. It was a very mindless project. I was able to do all of it while watching Netflix or watching knitting podcasts or something like that, watching a movie with my boyfriend. It was no problem at all. So I'm tempted to make another one. Wow, I really never thought I'd say that. But I totally am tempted to make another one. It used 1 1/8 skein of the worsted yarn. So I might have to make it if I do with 1 skein, I might have to make the brim just a tiny bit shorter so that I can have enough yarn to get a whole hat out of it with 1 skein, which I don't think would be a problem. I really do like how the brim turned out on this one, but I don't think I'd mind it if it was a tiny bit smaller. Yeah, otherwise I thought this was great. I really love this, and again, I just think the yarn is the most beautiful thing ever. I haven't posted this on my Instagram yet, but when I do, you'll be able to see the kind of variation in the colorway a little bit more. It's the most beautiful variegation, but very, very mild variegation between light pink and light purple. I'm starting to learn that I'm not the biggest fan of high contrast variegation. If I like variegation, it's going to be very, very, very light variegation, but I generally prefer solids or speckles on yarn. So yeah, this is definitely my vibe though. I'm a big, big fan of this. I can't wait to when I go home. My next finished objects are 2 pairs of socks. I think this one was a half finished object in my previous podcast. So I've finished that one, and I finished the other pair as well. Both of these socks are presents, Christmas presents for my partner's family members. I wanted to give them something. This is the first Christmas we've been together. We've been together for more than 6 months now, so I wanted to give them something. I thought socks would be a cute idea. So I knit these ones in 2 different colors of Quince & Co. worsted weight yarn. I don't remember anything more than that because that yarn had been caked up forever. I'm so sorry. But I really do like the combination of the dark brown and kind of the like heathered gray. I think it actually turned out surprisingly well. And this one is the same pattern, but I used Knitpicks gray. It's the Okotex undyed yarn. I don't remember the colorway either because again, this one has been caked up forever. And then I used just a little bit of that Quince & Co worsted to finish off the toe because I did not have enough. I was playing Yarn Chicken and I unfortunately lost this round. So yeah, that's these ones. Both of these socks come from the Patons Next Step Socks and Slippers book. I have had this book for like 14 or 15 years. I have made the worsted weight socks in this book so many times it is unbelievable. Like I have the pattern memorized at this point. For these ones, I did alter the pattern just a little bit. I have made this pair of socks for a man before and they were a little bit too tight. So I made the like foot of the sock just a little bit bigger so that hopefully they won't be too tight on his foot. But yes, I am very happy to be done these. These were not quite the last gift knit, but the last big gift knit that I had to get done before the end of this week, before I go home, because I want to send these back with my boyfriend so that I don't have to carry them from the US to Canada back to the US. This is not gonna work. So yeah, 2 pairs of socks done as Christmas gifts. I'm very, very happy about this. Now, the other thing I wanted to talk about, kind of in my finished object section, are the 2 pairs of socks that I have test knit recently. Now, I talked about these socks in my last, oh, we have a little cat distraction. Hello. She thankfully has stopped trying to eat my yarn. She did that once. It was very frustrating, but yes. Okay, we're going to have a little bit of cat distraction. She's just going to sit here in my lap. Which is lovely. So if you see a cattail, it's because my cat is sitting like right in front of me. This is where she normally sits when I'm knitting, which I love. I think it's very cute. But yes, back to the 2 pairs of socks that I have been test knitting. So I talked about this pair of socks in my last episode. These are the Winterberry socks by Haley from Rundle Knitting. I absolutely loved these socks. I got to learn so many new techniques, which was a lot of fun for me. I've never actually done toe-up socks before, and I had never done the technique to make the leaves either, which I thought was so much fun. Now, I'm not the best at color work, so you can kind of see my floats in some places. I'm working on it, we're getting there. But these socks were an absolute joy to knit. I think they're so beautiful and Christmassy, and the pattern is out now, so I highly, highly recommend you go check it out. I will put Haley's Instagram and Ravelry in the description below. Now, the other socks that I have been working on for weeks, and I think we're a finished object, or we're almost a finished object in my last podcast, but I couldn't talk about them yet, is the Nocturnal Socks by the Petite Knitter. I was so lucky to be selected as a tester by Wei-Chin. I have tested for her before. I've tested a couple different pairs of socks, but I haven't tested in a while, and I saw these socks and was like, oh my gosh, these are so cute, and had to apply. So these are the Nocturnal Socks by the Petite Knitter. I absolutely loved knitting these. I have never done 3-stranded color work nearly as complicated as these before. Technically, this is just 2-stranded color work because you're only working with 2 colors at a time. This is 3, so that was a challenge. I, again, am not very good at color work, but I absolutely loved knitting these. This pattern is out now, so I highly, highly recommend you go check it out. It's just absolutely adorable, and it matches her nocturnal sweater pattern, which she released around Halloween. So highly recommend. They were so much fun to knit. It was an honor to test for her. I just absolutely love them. And I believe that is it for my finished objects. It's been kind of a crazy couple weeks in terms of finishing up objects, so I think that's it. Thank God. It's been a lot of knitting, especially during finals, because I'm doing finals right now. So yeah, on top of doing my own finals, I'm grading finals. So yeah, it's been a lot. Okay, into works in progress. So I have 3 works in progress to share with you today, although I kind of don't count one of them as a work in progress because it's a blanket. So I'm gonna start with that one. I have been knitting, so I have been knitting I'm actually crocheting this. This is the Sunburst Hexy Fade Blanket by Not a Crochet. I'm gonna put it I'm gonna put the Instagram in the description box. I'm not following her fade suggestions, but these are her Sunburst Hexies. I am absolutely loving this. I'm just using scraps and some minis that I have, and every time I get a minute, I crochet a little hexie to go into the blanket. Now the pattern is free on her blog, but I actually bought the pattern off her Ravelry because I love to support knitters, but it is totally free if you'd like. And I had no idea how to crochet before starting this. I could do a chain stitch and that was it, and I watched her YouTube tutorial on how to crochet these, and I've been able to do it ever since. The only thing is that the pattern is actually for Join As You Go hexies. I haven't been able to do that yet. I find that really complicated. So I'm actually just mattress stitching them together, which is totally working, and I'm really happy with how it's looking. I think it's really cute. I'm very excited for this. I always have to have a blanket with me when I'm home for some reason, especially if I'm at my desk. I have to have a blanket on my lap, and I think this is just gonna be adorable and perfect. Maeve doesn't play with it at all, so I'm not worried about a cat destroying my crochet blanket. So yeah, that's my first work in progress. My second work in progress is one that I've shown in the podcast for the last couple episodes. It is the Sophie shawl that I'm working on for somebody. I have made a lot of progress on it as I get a knitting needle in the face. I've made a lot of progress on it. I am actually almost at the halfway point of the shawl where I can start decreasing. I think I have 2 more increases left, and then I can start decreasing, which I'm really happy about because I really want to get this done before Christmas. It's not a Christmas gift, it's something else. I can't give you any more details on that though because that person totally watches this podcast. I absolutely love it. This is my second Sophie shawl that I'm making. I am making it in the Sandnes Garn Alpaca wool in the color Camel. I think I said caramel in the last episode, but I think it's Camel. It's so soft and so squishy, and I know this person is absolutely going to love it, and I can't wait to give it to them. And I'm being a good knitter this time and putting in all of my increase markers, which I did not do on my last Sophie shawl, so it actually doesn't really look like a Sophie shawl and looks kind of more like just a weird trapezoid because I kept mixing up which sides I did my increases and decreases on. But I'm being good for this shawl because I think they're gonna love it. Hi, can I help you? Oh, hi. Oh, yes. Okay. Cats. Goodbye. What was I saying? Oh, there are a few mistakes in the I-cord, but I don't think it's too noticeable. I didn't notice until I gotten a lot farther, and I did not want to rip back. So I hope it's not too noticeable, but otherwise, I'm loving this project. I love the wool. This is my second time knitting with the alpaca wool from Sandnes Garn, so yeah, I'm a big fan. I highly recommend. Maeve, what are you doing? I know. My cat does not make normal cat noises, so in case you hear very strange cat noises, that's my cat. She's fine, I promise. And I have one last work in progress to share with you today. I am making another shawl, this time for myself. I am making this shawl with Biches Petite Lambswool in the color Burgundy Gray. It is the European Roadtrip shawl, which is a free pattern by Espace Tricot, which is a knitting store in Quebec, Canada, and I'm absolutely loving how it's turning out. It's just basically like a plain trapezoid, which is exactly what I was looking for in a shawl. I want something nice and lightweight but still warm, something that's really long, something that's really thick so I can put it around my shoulders for Christmas. Because I'm spending my Christmas in two vastly different climates this year, I have to plan for that, and one of the ways I'm doing that is with shawls. So I'm really hoping to have this done fairly soon. I think this is going to be my travel knitting project because it's very easy to transport and it's very easy to do. Like it's quite mindless. So yeah, I think this is going to be my travel knitting project. I really love the woolen spun yarn. I haven't really knit with woolen spun yarn before, so this is kind of my first experience with it, and I have to say I'm a big fan. I don't know if I'd want something really close to skin knit with woolen spun, so like I'm making a tank top right now that's on hold, so I'm not going to show it to you today. I don't know if I'd want that to necessarily be woolen spun, but for a sweater, for a shawl, anything like that, I'm really loving it. I think it's going to be very cute, and I'm a huge fan of like burgundy, any shade of burgundy, so I'm really loving this. I think it's going to be great. Yeah, so I will update you next time. Hopefully this will be either done or mostly done the next time I film an episode. I believe that is everything. I don't have any knitting acquisitions for you today. Well, I guess I kind of do, but they were just delivered and I haven't gone to pick them up yet. So they will be featured in my next knitting podcast. So I'm going to count today as having no knitting acquisitions because I don't have any knitting acquisitions in my apartment. So no knitting acquisitions for you today. So on to some knitty chat. So we are wrapping up 2023 here, which is absolutely crazy to me. 2023 has been one wild year for me. Holy cow. And I was wondering if everybody would like to see a what I knit in 2023 video. I haven't done one before, obviously, because this channel is fairly new. But I love watching other people's videos. I know some people find them a slog, but some people really like watching them. So let me know in the comments what you're interested in, and I will see if I can film something kind of rounding up everything that I knit in 2023. It's mostly accessories and lots of socks. Yeah, so let me know in the comments. The other thing I wanted to mention is I'm curious how other people come up with their next project. So specifically what I mean is like, do you find a pattern first and then find the yarn, or do you find the yarn first and then find the pattern? I have always been the like pattern first kind of person. So I'll find a pattern and then I'll go find the yarn that matches it. But I have recently, well not recently, I came across this yarn a year ago. It is the Lichen and Lace Beetroot yarn. The colorway is called Beetroot. And I fell in love with the yarn. I bought a skein, I made socks. They are my hands down favorite socks, most beautiful colorway I've ever seen. And I am slowly saving up for a sweater's quantity of this yarn. I think it's just absolutely stunning, but I'm struggling to find a pattern that I want to knit it with. I have one in mind, but I don't know, I'm not 100% set on it yet. So if you are also a yarn first knitter, let me know in the comments how you find patterns to fit the yarn, especially if the yarn is like really special to you. If it's like a sweater's quantity of hand-dyed yarn or a colorway you absolutely love, let me know in the comments because this is not an easy process, as I'm discovering. Yeah, I think that's it. I think that's everything I wanted to say today. Thank you so much if you've made it this far into the podcast. I deeply appreciate it. I hope that you are doing well. I hope your knitting is going well. I wish you the very best holidays. I hope December is a lovely month for you. I will talk to you next time. Happy knitting, and I'll see you soon. Bye.